So this is my certified audit copies where I got 71. There are questions where I managed to score 14 out of 14 and few cases where I even struggled to score 4 out of 14. Despite me scoring 4 out of 14, I managed to score 71 in audit. So I'll tell you how I did it in this video. All the efforts, say 6 months, 1 year, whatever efforts, comes down to the last 3 hours you write in the exam. Those 3 hours are dependent on the first 15 minutes. So I'll tell you how you should have your mindset and what you should do in the first 15 minutes of the paper. Your exam starts at 2, but you receive the paper at 1:45 itself. So as soon as you receive the paper, with a calm mind, keep saying this to yourself. How much you need to pass? 40. Okay. If I know 40, I'm happy. So what my experience was, I read the first question in my first year. I didn't know. I got a bit scared. Went to the next one. That was also, I knew half. I didn't know half. I again got scared, and I'm like, oh, this time the paper is very tough. I think I won't clear. So that is what I kept telling myself after I saw 2 or 3 tough questions. Don't do that. If you don't know the tough questions, leave it. Go to the easiest one. First priority is to pick the 20 marker question where you know, okay, I am going to get 16 plus in this 20 marker question. Attempt that first. And later, you may have many cases where you know one question and you don't know the other question. Where you know the one question perfectly, do that question. And where you know the other question partially, do that. But arrange your paper in such a way that the best questions are in the first and the worst questions are in the last. If you do this, even when the evaluator is correcting the paper, he'll see, okay, he'll get an impression that, okay, ये तो पढ़ाकू लड़का है. First one, okay, you got good. And finally, even when your not so good answers are corrected as well, he's like, okay, let me give at least like 2-3 marks to these questions, and your aggregate is very much met easily. So I would suggest you guys to do this strategy. Do not worry about how tough the paper is. If the paper is tough for you, it is tough for everybody. So keep this in mind. And let me tell you this, when the paper is tough, right, in my experience, whenever the paper was tough, I've actually gotten more marks than what I had expected. And where the paper was very easy, I was like, okay, I'll get very good marks. I did not get the marks I had expected. So whenever the paper is tough, do not worry. Just attempt your best questions in the first. If you're able to score 40 marks in the first 1.5 hours of the paper, then I'm sure in the rest 1.5 hours, even the questions which you don't know, you will be able to answer it with much more confidence, because everyone knows there is step marking. If you write the steps, you will definitely get marks. If not full, at least out of 10, you'll get 3 or 4 marks if your steps are proper. So focus on the questions where you know that answers are like you've read that very well. Do that perfectly. And in the not so good answers as well, you will end up getting partial marks. So this is how you do it. I'll actually share you my personal experience. It was my audit paper where I scored 71 in that. I saw the questions and my eyes went first to the questions which was audit of financial statements. I left that chapter 9 and I saw 3-4 questions came from that chapter. I did not worry. Okay, I didn't know. I don't know this. Okay, fine. So I'll be writing for 90 marks out of 100. I don't know 10 marks. It's fine. So instead of focusing on the 10 marks which I don't know, I started focusing on the questions which I knew. Then I started solving whichever that audit of financial statements. I wrote it on my own. And actually I ended up getting 0.5, 1 marks out of 3 marks, which the chapter which I hadn't read at all, I wrote it on my own and I got 0.5 or 1 marks, which is actually better than 0, right? So I got 3 on 3, 4 on 4 on the questions which I knew. So this is how you revise your strategy. When you don't know the questions, okay, keep it at the end. When you know the questions, write that in the beginning. And your not very good answers will also end up getting partial marks. I attempted the most comfortable question which I knew. For the fourth question was the first one I attended. See, I got 14 on 14 on this because I knew everything. And there have been cases where I have got even 4 out of 14, but that was the last question I attempted. So this is the last week of your exam. So as I say, this is the 9th round. You don't quit now. Keep going. You'll do great. All the best, guys. Jai Anjaneya.